Don't look under the internet.
Are you recording?
Oh, I've been.
Hell yeah, brother. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on the podcast. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to podcast.
Hi, podcast. Welcome to us.
Hi, podcast.
Welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet, the only podcast on the internet. Internet.
Hey, everybody.
so
Welcome
big.
to Don't Look Under the Internet, the only internet that's on the podcast.
Yes, that. That's Doug.
Oh, we're still.
Welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're leaning into it. That's Matt.
Welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet.
I'm podcast. And other guy's not here right now. He had to leave
Again.
because he had an emergency.
That's 3 out of the last 4 episodes.
Hey, you know what?
Can we fire him?
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
You can lead a horse
I'm
to
just
water,
kidding.
but you can't tell him how to
Force him
wake.
to record.
Just kidding. I love you, dude.
We don't have any housekeeping because we're doing this as always at the same time as the last one. So nuts to you.
We have
No, we
have,
do. Somebody subbed while you were gone.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up.
They're in
Really?
the fucking Discord. Yeah.
They're
Are you serious? Where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you? Is he?
Yeah.
I don't see.
Let's see if he finds it. We got an email.
Is it in the general? Oh, we got an email. Let me see. Email
But also
time.
It's in the Patreon only chat.
It's in the Patreon only chat. Is it Ken? Ken Jablomi?
There you go.
What's up, Ken? So no, they were already in here. They just upped their tier, you dinguses.
Yeah, but
Oh. Well, whatever.
it's fine.
I'm still here for it. Thank you for upping your tier, Ken Jablomi. And Ken, yeah. I can
I
jablo
saw
you.
there was
Yes.
a popular Reddit post today about a monkey named Ken Allen. Or an orangutan named Ken Allen.
Oh yeah.
That lived in the San Diego Zoo that used to break out of his cage all the fucking time, and he
Yeah.
became known for that. And I'm not going to drag this up, but just like go read his fucking Wikipedia page. It's pretty funny.
He would break out because he was bored.
Yeah, Rip Ken.
Can you blow me the monkey?
Ken's a real G.
Ken Jablo. Ken.
Apparently, he didn't bother anybody else. He would just walk past people and stuff and like completely ignore them. But they had to wrangle him the first time he got out because he started throwing rocks at one of the other orangutans. Apparently, there was one other orangutan. I think his name was Otis that he just like really fucking hated. So he just like break out of his cage and just go torment him.
A monkey rivalry. You don't see that. That's what I need a movie of that. I need a movie of two rival monkeys like clashing. That'd be cool. Like a King Kong versus Mighty Joe Young or something. That'd be
Anyway,
incredible.
That's not
Anyway.
what this episode's about, but it should be.
No, but this is about something just as mysterious as two monkeys fighting each other. We're talking about Alaska. Specifically
Billings, Montana.
Billings, Montana. We're talking about Alaska, specifically the area surrounding Fort Greely. I discovered something interesting. I found out that apparently there's a bunch of towns and areas, wilderness cities, you betcha, you name them, around Fort Greely that have a bunch of paranormal and supernatural shit going on. A lot of alien stuff and some other things as well. So I figured maybe we should talk about some of these weird things around Fort Greely. I thought that'd be very interesting. And where, boys, where do you start except for the beginning? What is Fort Greely?
Oh, I know this.
Okay.
So should I tell people about it?
Ah!
Oh, Fort Greely.
No, skip that part.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay.
So what about
Fort Greely? Fort Greely is a port, an army location in Alaska. So it was originally named after Adolphus Greely, who was a Union Army in the Civil War officer.
Whoa.
And
What's his first name?
what?
What's the first name?
Adolphus.
Ooh,
See, this
close.
was pre-World War II though, so it was all
Oh, it's
kosher
okay.
to
okay?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Cool.
So Adolphus Greely, he was a Union Army officer and also polar explorer. So I'm sidetracking here, but I even wrote this in my notes. As I was looking this up, when I look at things from this era, I'm constantly reminded how not that long ago the Civil War was, which is insane to me. Like, so this guy he fought in the Civil War, and by the time he died in 1935, Frank Sinatra was 20 years old. And by the time Frank Sinatra died, all of us had already been born. That's how not that long ago the Civil War was. Because you think
That's
about it
wild.
being like a long ass time ago, but we're only like
Mhm.
one generation like
out
removed
from people that are
That's crazy. Anyhow,
Mhm.
so it was named after this dude. It's currently a launch site for anti-ballistic missiles. So whenever Russia or North Korea or whatever shoots missiles at us, this site houses missiles that can shoot at those missiles and blow them up before they hit anything important. It's 100 miles outside of Fairbanks. It's located where it is because well, it was originally set up in World War II, but it's located where it is and used today because not only is close to Russia and can defend against things coming over from that direction, but it's also super duper fucking cold year round. So the military uses it for training soldiers for Cold War combat, and they also use it to like test equipment and shit in cold weather just to see if it can survive like Arctic conditions. And there's actually a unit there that specializes in this called the Cold Regions Test Center. Like I mentioned, it was originally set up as a World War II base, and it was set up there then so that they could send planes and shit to Russia at the time to help fight Japan and Germany. And then in the 1960s, they set up a lab there that did chemical and biological testing. And they also set up a nuclear power plant there, which supplied the power for the base until 1972 when it was decommissioned. And like I mentioned, it eventually became an anti-ballistic missile location. And that has expanded in recent years because of the threat of North Korea launching shit at us because they're developing like long-range missiles now. And if they don't accidentally miss super bad and hit Japan like they almost did a few years ago, they could theoretically launch them at us. And these are that we would shoot things from here to shoot them down. The land that's actually around the facility, obviously, it's in the middle of fucking Alaska. It's super barren. I mean, there's like trees and animals and shit. But the land around the facility was designated as extra land in 1972 after they shut the power plant down. And they tried to return it to the public. And is it giving away too much to say why that didn't end up happening?
I'm gonna assume Bigfoot.
No, it ended up not happening because they apparently weren't able to find or didn't have the records that they needed to prove that the land around the base was free from hazardous waste. And so the government was like, yeah, we can't fucking just turn this land over to the people without knowing what's in it. And it's a damn good thing that they didn't, because it turns out that the entire area, basically the entire area is just riddled with like harmful chemicals that are mostly byproducts of fuel and also like toxic stuff from mishandling of toxic materials like heavy metals and shit at the base over the years. All that shit has like seeped into the ground, and now there's like a 4 to 5 mile radius around this thing that's like harmful to be in.
Goddamn.
And,
Way to go, Greely.
Yeah.
Adolphus, good job.
Yeah, good. The I think we can all agree the worst Adolf, right?
Definitely in the top 5 for sure.
That's Fort Greely.
Fort Greely. Cool. Yeah. I wonder if all that toxic stuff and whatnot, you said it's from like fuel and whatnot, but I wonder if it came from any mysterious weaponry or tests or things like that. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Now-
Don't you know?
Doug is going to talk about
it?
something that's not quite a fort, but it's another type of thing.
Wow.
That,
Hell of a segue, bro.
you're right. It is a thing. All right. So I have what is called the I guess Alaskan Black Pyramid. And it's kind of, I guess, more of a folklore. I don't know if you want to call it folklore, but it's basically just a conspiracy theory, essentially. I guess that's the better way to put it. But so basically, the Alaskan Black Pyramid is said to be a massive underground pyramid located somewhere in Alaska's Denali region. And according to the story, it's larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it's made of a mysterious black stone. So some kind of black stone material. It allegedly emits powerful energy, and it's thought to be very ancient, perhaps even predating known civilizations. And this story gained traction in the early 1990s when a broadcast by an NBC affiliate, Channel 13 in Anchorage, allegedly reported that a giant pyramid had been discovered during a Chinese nuclear test. So the theory goes that in 1992, the Chinese were conducting nuclear detonation tests, which in turn caused some seismic activity to happen in Alaska. So when that happened, the U.S. military, their seismic instruments picked up a strange reading that hinted at a large, irregular artifact structure underground. And this black pyramid, possibly buried thousands of feet below, was allegedly discovered via radar. Now, no one can find any recordings or archives of this news broadcast, which only adds to the myth of it all.
Convenient.
Now, the Black Pyramid is supposedly classified as hidden by the U.S. military. Now, there's a lot of stuff kind of surrounding this. So, some of the theories are that it's a giant power source and that it's an ancient power generator, possibly connected to free energy or like Earth grid systems, which are two other things that I will not be going into right now. You've got Ancient Aliens, which is a classic one for this kind of shit, and that it's a relic of an extraterrestrial origin or ancient advanced humans. Another theory says that it could be a geomagnetic vortex. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the vile vortices, but they are these different points in the world that have like massive energy signals. And basically, they think that this pyramid is located on a very powerful energy node that essentially our government wants to be able to control for ourselves. And then there's a lot of missing personnel stories that go along with this. And some of these conspiracy stories allege that people who discover the pyramid or try to investigate it vanish or are silenced, which is pretty typical trope for this kind of stuff.
Par for course on that one.
Right.
They got unalived.
Now, there are no confirmed coordinates for this pyramid, obviously, but theorists often place it near Mount Denali, or what's formerly known as Mount McKinley, and then it's somewhere near that, and it's between Nome and Anchorage, and it's somewhere beneath Fort Greely or Fort Wainwright. So that's kind of like this general triangulated area that we have of where this pyramid could possibly be. And this area that it is in is known for its really harsh weather, super remote, it's uninhabitable, and it's got high levels of military activity, which is all very, very convenient for something like this to exist in, right? Now, a lot of this has been debunked over the years, as in, there's no geological evidence that supports that a structure is under Alaska. Seismic readings don't show any anomalies in the Jesus Christ. I don't know if my mic just Yeah, I don't know if my mic picked that up or not. You're the piss out of me. Stupid ass cats. All right.
Heard you talking
Anyways,
about the Black Pyramid. He knows it's his home. He's a sphinx at heart.
God damn. Anyways, so yeah, let me rewind. Seismic readings don't show any abnormalities in the Denali region. And the news report that this all stemmed from can't seem to be found. Not a single journalist has come forward to confirm that they, touched on the topic or they did any kind of, news topic like this. And then experts argue that this, energy source that is supposedly in Alaska has really no claims for scientific basis. Like there's just nothing that would make sense for this to like be there, like there's no reason for it to be there. Now there's a couple people I want to talk about real quick. And they're like the biggest people, big players for this whole thing. Bro, I'm gonna yeet you. So this guy's name is Doug Muchler. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's Muchler. I don't know. Anyways, so God damn it, someone fucked with my fucking notes. AKA Dr. Marcus Fartbutt.
Hey, there we go. There we go. That's a classic.
Love that. Love that for me. They are the central most persistent figure associated with the Alaskan Black Pyramid legend. But here's the key. Very little verifiable information exists about him. And almost everything we know that comes about this come from interviews and appearances on very like fringe paranormal platforms. So they claim to be a former U.S. Army counterintelligence warrant officer. He's never provided any official documentation of his military service that's been publicly verified, but his story is often accepted at face value in the paranormal circles. Seems like that kind of thing is just widely accepted. You can just be like, I'm this guy, and they're like, all right.
Okay.
So Muchler contacted someone named Linda Moulton Howe, a very prominent figure in paranormal journalism.
The Molten
And-
why?
And he basically told the story to her, and she basically was the one that featured his account on her website and actually did an interview on Coast to Coast AM. So this like a lot of everything we know about the Alaskan Black Pyramid stems from this Doug guy's like claims, but it got spread like widespread because of Linda Howe.
They were like Linda Moulton where?
Linda who?
Yeah, again, no one's corroborated seeing these this news broadcast. There's no records of this guy's military service. All the current versions that we know of the story for this trace back to him, as pretty much every little itty bitty information we have stems back to this dude. And he has literally not made a public appearance in recent years. And most people just think that's like a fake name that he used. So we don't have any real way to corroborate the story. We have no way to know for sure who this person is and why they decided that they wanted to do this like story or whatever it is. I think it's really neat though. I think it's a pretty cool idea as far as that goes. But other than that, we have no viable proof that this thing exists. And I mean, it is what it is. It's a military base, right? Can't really do much about that.
That means it's real. That means
Wrong.
it's real. We made it up.
That's
Didn't happen.
That's the Black Pyramid.
Didn't
though.
happen.
Didn't happen. Made it up.
Black Pyramid.
Made it up.
Whoa.
Made it up.
Insane,
Made it
dude.
up.
That's insane. Black Pyramid. That sounds super scary.
Crazy, bro.
Now
I like how that is like basically baseless, and like if you look this up on YouTube, there's like entire like fucking Discovery Channel segments about it and shit.
Oh my god, there was so much to choose from when I was looking this up. I was like,
can you imagine just making some random shit up and like 30 years later people are making fucking History Channel documentaries? What if there's like a History Channel segment about fucking ephemeral sensations at some point?
We're just scrolling through the History Channel one day, just like, wait a minute. That's me.
That's crazy. I don't know. You got to know the right people, I think.
For mine, Matt, I'm gonna need you to look up a video for me real quick. Okay. Just for one image alone. Okay. So The video is titled "A Whole Town Witness UFO Circling
Oh,
Over
I watched
Them."
this video earlier.
Yes, it's just with the
It's
man
so
with the
much
wig.
fun. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about a whole town near Fort Greely
This man, I love this man.
saw a UFO. So we're starting this bad boy off fiercely with a basically back in Seward, Alaska, in the 80s. It doesn't really say when. It just says a few decades ago. I'm gonna assume that means 80s. There seems to have been a town-wide sighting of a UFO. One man dared to come forward and speak his truth. That man, his name's Bill.
Fucking love Bill.
Now, Bill,
Fucking course it is.
He's like, that's just what I saw, and that's what it is.
yeah, he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
He comes on the scene, and they're just like, I'm Bill. I'm the shipping manager. I manage the salmon on the dock. And I saw a UFO, and he looks like that kind of guy.
Right.
He looks like
He's
an Alaskan.
What? Yeah, the image you have in your head, if you're listening to this, you're right.
That's Bill. That's Bill. He's an older man. He's got gray. He's all gray and everywhere, but not in one scene. So, Bill claims that he was sitting at home one day when he heard a helicopter outside his home. And luckily for us, they do a little bit of like a recreation of this situation. And roughly about, I would say, 2 minutes into the video, you see, because they couldn't afford actors, they just decided to give Bill a very bad looking wig of like jet black hair. And he still has his big old gray beard, but they just slapped a jet black
I
wig
love
on
the
him.
scenes where he's like reacting to the UFO, and he's just like staring at it, like,
Huh. Also, they did a horrible job with this reenactment because this is supposed to take place in the 80s. And he's like, I called up my neighbor, and he just whips out his cell phone. And is just like,
why didn't you take a
Calling my
video
neighbor.
then?
yeah. But anyway, we'll get into that. So Bill claims he was sitting at home when he heard a helicopter outside his home. He looked up and he noticed an unmarked all black helicopter hovering in one spot close to his residence. He thought this was very weird because it was unmarked, and B, it's just hovering there. It's not moving. It's not doing anything. It's just chilling. He's like, well, that's strange. After a while, he turns around to go back inside, and that's when he bears witness to this gigantic spaceship that is hovering in the nearby mountains, not a quarter mile away from his house. He says this thing was a quarter mile at most away from his home. So it's pretty fucking close. Bill claims that as he was looking at this ship, it was 1,500 to 2,000 feet long and 400 to 500 feet across. This thing is fucking giant. It was a gray-silver color with a diamond-type crystal in the bottom of it that was letting off a rainbow-esque light.
He says it's beautiful. He's like, it was beautiful.
And it's Pride Month. So it's perfect. Yeah, he's like, it was beautiful. I loved it. It was the most beautiful.
The glacier.
He's like, I like them aliens, and I might not support them, but
I like
As long as they got their paperwork, we're all right.
So he said it was just hovering, like I said before, about a quarter mile away from his house. As he stared at the ship, he said that he felt like his body started to hum. So it started feeling like it was humming, like he was vibrating from the inside. Sounds like he just left something in him. You know what I'm saying?
Taco Bell, bro.
That too. Oh, Taco Bell sounds good. So he went inside and he decided he was going to call his neighbor to confirm if that ship is out there. In his own words, he says along the lines of, I called my neighbor and said, now I need you to confirm that I'm not crazy and that I know what I'm looking at. And he's like, yep, my neighbor said, I see it too, Bill. I see it too. So,
sure, Bill. Yep, I see it too. Okay, buddy.
Get the bag. We're leaving tonight.
It's 9:30, Bill. I gotta go to bed.
Bill, I work at 5 a.m. on the same dock you do. Why are you calling me? Now, Bill confirmed with his neighbor that they both saw it. He then went back outside and He's like, I went outside and I watched this ship for hours. So he's like, I went out with my binoculars and I just stared at it for hours. And the recreation is him just going out there and just, it's beautiful. And he then recalls waking up randomly inside his house after an hour and a half of watching the ship, and he lost several hours of time. In this same story, we meet up with the local radio station, KMSR. You are listening to KSMR, Alaska's top radio station for all you fishermen out there. Next up is Real Big Fish. Anyway, my jokes aren't landing without a Jason here being backup laughter.
Yeah.
So,
Here, Seconds.
right amount of dolphin too.
Okay.
Perfect. Actually, that had a little bit of like a Joker vibe to it. It was a little
My bad.
creepy.
I'll work on it.
Anyway, so
what was that clown you did that one time?
Oh, yeah, Bozo or whatever. But I don't know. Sort of.
what?
Bimbo.
What? The clown?
don't
The
know.
SCP clown.
Oh, I don't. That was a long time ago. I don't remember that at all. Whatever.
Whatever.
Sick story, dude.
Yeah, sick story. So KMSR reported hundreds of people calling in about the ship, the spaceship. Bob Bird, who was a talk show host at the time, fielded a lot of these calls. They interviewed him a little bit. He's just like, yeah, man, hundreds of calls, crazy. And they reenacted a couple of these calls, and it was a dumb reenactment, unfortunately. And they're just like, I seen it in the sky. And he's like, what do you see? I see the UFO. He's like, wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
His voices. Wow, oh my God.
Wow.
Police were also called, and reports were filed about this ship, but there have been no answers as to what the ship was. There also is no, like, it just vanished. No, there is no real, like, ending to this. It's just like, yeah, hundreds of people saw this ship. That's it. And we really only talked to Bill and Bob, two fake names. There's just really, out of everyone in this town, you get Bill and Bob to talk to. Come on now. But that is the Alaskan Starship. That's what they nicknamed it. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, if you ask me.
Is it? Is it, Mike?
I think it might be.
Yeah, we'll
Jason,
let the people decide.
Jason was going to talk about the Alaska Triangle, but something's telling me that ain't happening because he's not here, so he can't talk about it. Yes, and also I went to check his notes for Alaska Triangle, and the notes are literally the word Alaska Triangle and a single bullet point with nothing next to it.
Hell yeah. We've caught him. We caught him, guys.
Was my man just going to wing it? But
shit.
I came prepared with an extra
He's
story.
done it
just to be
before.
safe.
He's done it before, though. He's obviously been sitting there just like reading articles on his phone as he's talking before. So.
There was, I forget which episode it was, but it was one that we covered relatively recently. It was a YouTube video one. And it was Baby Cop. It was North Elfman.
Mm.
And there was a bit where he was just, as he's telling us what's happening, I look over, he's watching it on the phone and just describing it as it's happening.
And he was watching him during your bit too.
He was, because he was watching it during my bit, and I see him putting his phone against his ear so he can hear the audio. And I'm just like, whatever. Whatever. But it does beg the question. How many times has he made shit up for his topic and we just took his word for it because we also didn't look into it?
I pretty usually watch everything, to be fair.
Yeah, I watch everything and all the topics we do, so I would have...
Oh, that's good. One of us does. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Because we used to be like, no, we'll just, like, we won't watch your parts, guys. We won't watch the other people's parts. We did that early on.
Well, this section's getting cut out of the
live reactions, but
no, leave it in. We need the time. But I do have another thing I could talk about. So this is called the Count to Three story. So basically, what happened here? Back in 1972, we were following two hunters in the 70s, Paul and Lee. They set out to go hunting in the wilderness near McGinnis Peak. Doug, look at that. We're referencing McGinnis again, just like you did. So strange things in this place twice. That's fucking weird, dude.
Fucking weird.
While they're out doing their hunting, Paul and Lee both discovered a grizzly bear in their vicinity. This grizzly bear posed no threat at the moment, but they had a couple options ahead of them. They could either A, hunker down and wait for the bear to pass, or B, try not to get killed by the grizzly bear, or run up to it and get killed by the grizzly bear. Paul decided, I want to shoot the grizzly bear, but we're going to do it smart. So they decided to hunker down. They found a small depression in a foothill and decided to relax there while the bear wanders by so they can kind of get a better advantage on the bear. So they decided they're going to have lunch here. They even, in the story, there's even mention of the wild strawberries and everything coming up because it's springtime. So, there's wild strawberries and berries. They pluck them, they're eating them, they're feeding each other. It's all cute. It's really cute. Two big burly hunter men out there just feeding each other strawberries. After several hours, the bear was no more than 500 yards from our boys here. The bear was just bumbling along, doing its thing, doing bear things. They said that it was walking around like it had no rhyme or reason. It didn't have any reason to be doing anything special. It was just bumbling around doing whatever it wants. This is when both the bear and our boys, Paul and Lee, discovered that there is a herd of caribou in their area. A herd of roughly, I believe they said 48 caribou. So the bear decides, I'm going to stalk this herd, and it starts kind of getting a little closer. It's sneaking up. It's laying down more. It's stalking this herd. The hunters wait because they're not after the caribou in this situation. They're after the bear. Paul really wants to shoot this fucking bear. So as the bear makes its way to the caribou, very slowly, Paul gets ready to take his shot at the bear. This is when the clouds overhead start rolling over the sun and just overcasting everything. Paul and Lee both agree that Paul is going to take the first couple shots at the bear, and Lee's going to sit back and be more of like a defense man. So Paul is going to be taking the main shots. He's going to shoot at this bear twice. If he misses, that's when Lee's going to come in on the third shot, and he's going to try to take this bear down if Paul can't do it. Paul then goes to take the shot. He asks Lee to count to 3, and he'll start shooting. At this point, Lee hears a growling noise, and he pauses the count. Lee asks Paul, he's like, did you hear that weird growling noise? And Paul's just like, I think it was just the wind. Don't even worry about it. But Lee recalls this growling noise sounding like it's coming from the air around them. Like it's not coming from a single position. It sounds like it's coming from everywhere around them. So they think nothing of it at the time being, and they ready their scopes again. And this is when Paul and Lee both notice that it's starting to get brighter while they're looking through their scopes. Lee then starts to count again, and he gets all the way up to 2. This is then when Lee notices a giant blue ball of fire striking down onto the ground, or right in the center of the caribou herd. And then you see this giant fireball split into dozens of smaller blue fireballs. And each of these fireballs makes their way directly to a caribou. They said it was as fast as lightning, just like it just scattered immediately. Just like that, all the caribou were dead on the ground. They said it was as if each caribou was hit on the head with an imaginary sledgehammer.
Jesus fuck.
Seconds later, they look up and they see a giant sphere-shaped object hovering above them. They say that its underbelly was a dull orange that would pulsate from dark to light. In the video, I don't know if this person used some sort of AI voice at one point, but it mispronounces a lot of words. It says it was a dull orange, and then it's supposed to say, and it glue like iron, but instead they say, and it glue like iron. And I don't know if maybe people pronounce iron funny, but it's iron, not iron.
The irony.
The irony.
The irony.
Oh, the iron.
So they started seeing flashes of lights from the sphere. And every time there is a flash of light, they notice that a caribou would actually vanish. They recall that there was a point where they found so all these caribou in this herd, they make mention that they're younger caribou. Their antlers are still growing out. They make mention at this point when all these caribou are vanishing that they notice one caribou in particular. It looks like it's with a younger one, and they're both on the ground. They look at it, and then just in a flash of light, just poof, gone. It just straight up vanishes. This freaks both of them right the fuck out, and they just slam into the ground back into their little like foothill that they were hiding in before, and they are like quivering in fear, and they don't know what to do. They don't want to move, but they kind of have to move. I feel. Paul at this point says, "Fuck it." He's like, "We have to defend ourselves from this thing. It's gonna get us next. We have to do something." So my boy unloads his gun on this fucking spaceship. Lee notes that the shots that Paul fires didn't make a sound like a bullet hitting metal, like that ping. Instead, it made it a sound more like a hard object hitting concrete. That was the way he described it. Paul then takes more shots at the sphere, and that is all the boys remember. Lee, at this point, claims that a quote-unquote light exploded in his head. That is the best way that he can describe the feeling that went on in his body. The next
acid trip.
Whoa, the light.
Yeah.
The next he remembers, Paul was shaking him awake, and hours have passed. This all took place around lunchtime. They said that the sun is now going down, which at the time of year that they were out hunting in Alaska is roughly about 10:30 at night. Sorry, I gotta take a drink. So hours have passed. They make their way down to the caribou, and they see that all 48 of the caribou are dead, or at least from the 48 they can see. The animals showed no sign of injury. However, they did notice a trench in the ground connecting each caribou, basically chained together, and each of these trenches follows back to this one giant trench in the middle where that giant ball was. And they concluded that these trenches were made by those smaller individual blue balls of fire that went scattering out. So they decided, here's what we're going to do. It's super dark. We're not going to survive the wilderness in the dark. There's a wild bear out there. We don't know where the fuck that thing's at. There's everything else out in the wilderness. There's a weird ass sphere in the sky. We have no idea where that is either. Let's just put up camp here for the night, and we'll go back home in the morning. So they do just that. Now here's the kicker. Both men worked at Fort Greely. They both worked on a nuclear project over in Fort Greely. And because of this, they decided that they're going to stay silent on this whole experience for years because they didn't want to raise any alarms. They didn't want to raise any suspicion. Relatively soon after the incident, the caribou herd was discovered, and this sparked a lot of interest in the neighboring towns. The first people that were blamed were the army. The army even went out to investigate what was going on, and they cited nerve agents were the issue at first with what happened to the caribou. Then they changed their mind, and they said that it was an artillery strike that went wrong, and that's what killed the caribou. Eventually, they landed on telling the public that, no, scratch all of that. It's actually just a really big bolt of lightning that came down and just killed all these caribou. It was at this exact time that the nuclear project that Paul and Lee were working on was shut down, and Paul and Lee both lost their jobs at Fort Greely. At this point, Lee decided a couple years later. It was HARP.
Bet money on it.
It might have been. That aligns with some stuff here, man. So years go by, and Lee decides he's going to tell his story, and he does an interview with some like UFO newspaper company out in like New York, and they publish it. At this time as well, while Lee was throughout the years, Lee noticed something that he brought up in this interview. He noticed that throughout the last couple, from the last couple years in the 70s up until like recently, the past couple decades, he noticed that wild herds of caribou and other animals have been dropping drastically in not only Alaska but other parts of the world too, where UFO sightings have been seen. On average, over 3 years, according to Lee, wild animal herds lost roughly 50% of their numbers, and this problem is still ongoing from this day. He said that 3 year mark from when this whole UFO thing was what happened in 1972. He gives off some stats too. The Brooks Range caribou herd dropped from 200,000 animals in 1972 to less than 75,000 when the count was remade in 1976. What happened to those 125,000 other animals? The Christochina caribou herd in central Alaska dropped from 20,000 animals to 5,000. The Nelchina herd dropped from 20,000 down to 5,000. The 40 Mile herd in northeastern Alaska dropped from 40,000 animals to 8,000 animals in just 3 years. The Delta herd, the one that he watched get slaughtered, lost half its number in a few years. The Macomb Plateau herd lost half its animals as well. The moose, which was once so abundant in central Alaska, 20 or more moose, he says, could be counted on any day on an 80-mile drive from Delta Junction to Paxson. And now they're very scarce. Today, this drive can be made over and over again without seeing a single damn moose.
Well, I was Googling things related to this, and I actually read a New York Times article earlier about this, but just with the Google search that I've got up, I do see a result that cites a 1999 study that says wolves killed in this one herd, wolves killed between 2,000 and 3,000 caribou calves annually from 1994 to 1997.
God damn. Well, no, aliens, dude. Aliens. Come
Yeah,
on.
okay.
Badass
Well,
fucking
yeah.
wolves.
So
alien wolves.
another thing to bring up. The buffalo herd in Wood Buffalo National Park, Alberta, and the Northwest Territories dropped from 12,000 to 5,528 animals between 1970 and 1975 with no logical explanation as to where the animals
None.
went. The buffalo herd north of the park dropped from 2,500 animals down to 1,250 during the same period. More than 7,000 buffalo are unaccounted for. Ranchers in the western states have reported many of their livestock deceased and mutilated, and many more missing. Boys, do aliens be taking our livestock and our wild animals? Because again, he mentions in his story that these caribou in this herd just literally vanish out of thin air. Is it possible that these aliens are taking
them, though? Why?
I don't know. Well, it goes back to that thing of like UFOs taking cows.
I can see him taking like one or two cows and just like check them out and like see what's going on in there, but I don't see like take thousands.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they're using them for fuel. Just biofuel.
Just a big cow chipper. Just
yeah.
Fossil fuels.
Yeah, biofuel. Yeah, they're using the milk. That's what it is. They're using milk for fuel.
Could be. Yeah,
that's
just a
for
bunch
sure.
of cows on a bunch of spaceships, just like hooked up to some titty suckers, just dumping milk into their warp drives.
Mooey
Fucking
milkers.
titty suckers.
I just thought this was very fascinating. Especially again, all this shit's happening around Fort Greely. That's what's even more fascinating about it.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on the Alaska Triangle because
I can talk about the Alaskan Triangle if you want.
Go for it. What do you got? We got time.
So fun fact, this isn't a part of the Vial Vortices, but it's very, very similar. So it basically it's like a cousin to the Bermuda Triangle, right? But it's located in Alaska. It's super famous for disappearances, UFO sightings, cryptids, and just all around strange phenomena. So basically, its location is 3 points. It's Anchorage, Genoa, and I can't pronounce this word, but it's Barrow.
No, you got it.
Far north coast. But yeah, it spans basically most of like the rugged, isolated terrain of Alaska. So some weird just points about this triangle. Since 1988, over 16,000 people have gone missing in the Alaskan Triangle, and that is far higher per capita than anywhere else in the U.S. And this triangle accounts for more than half of Alaska's missing persons cases, even though it covers a less populated portion of the state. Planes vanish without wreckage here, hikers disappear without trace, and search parties often end up with finding nothing here.
Wasn't this kind of a part of that Missing 401 episode that we did? This sounds vaguely because don't people think that these are because of there's like a bunch of like underground caverns and shit that people just randomly fall into and they get lost or something?
That sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
But there's like these like geological structures underneath state parks that are causing this weird shit to happen.
So that's kind of what the vile vortices refer to. So basically what it is these are different regions on Earth that are characterized by like paranormal phenomena and like mass disappearances and just UFO sightings or just anything like that. That's what these places are. And it's really weird because if you like look at a map at where these are, it kind of like runs like above and below the equator. In this instance, Alaska isn't quite there, but
Alaska's way north of the equator. It's like way up there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So going back to the disappearances, though, in 1972, there was a disappearance of a House Majority Leader, Hale Boggs. A small aircraft carrying Boggs vanished between Anchorage and Genoa. There was like a massive 39-day search. There was no wreckage, no bodies, literally they had nothing
no evidence
from
of
this
anything.
crash. Yeah. So some theories behind the Alaskan Triangle. You've got your natural explanations, right? So you've got extreme terrain. They've got very craggy peaks, thick forest, and just fields of ice that, make search and rescue almost impossible. Extremely brutal weather, sudden storms, whiteouts, negative 50-degree temperatures, stuff like that. And then the geomagnetic anomalies, which you see in most of these like triangles, that are very, very easily, machine interference, compass interference, all that kind of shit. You name it, radio, like it just doesn't work there very well. And then you've got your paranormal and UFO theories. The region is rife with UFO sightings, especially in connection with Mount Hayes and, of course, the Black Pyramid, like we talked about earlier. Locals report, glowing orbs, silent aircraft, and just strange aerial lights. And a lot of people believe that, they're portals to dimensional rifts and stuff like that, just like any other fucking triangle would be. So, you've got a lot of that going on between the locals and just like, Alaska's got, not the biggest population, but they've got enough people to spread this kind of shit to, the mainland states. You've got some cryptids and some nature lore here too. There's a thing called the Kushtaka, which is a shape-shifting otter man who lures people to their deaths. You've got hornets. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's a race of large, primitive humanoids that I guess attack humans. And some of these stories predate like colonial times. Often with the stories referring to people being taken by the others, which, is what it is, I guess. And then, of course, the Black Pyramid is one of the bigger mysteries that surround this area as well, which I went over already. But yeah, there's a lot of like weird hotspots that are within this triangle. Mount Hayes is a huge like UFO hotspot. Like most of the UFO stories you'll see are here in Alaska, happen around Mount Hayes. You've got Lake. I want to say it's Liamana. A lot of these names I'm just gonna butcher the shit out of, but frequent cryptid sightings going on at this lake. And then Nome has so many disappearances that it actually inspired the movie The Fourth Kind, if you've seen that.
Oh yeah, I was disappointed with that movie.
I thought that movie was fucked up.
Well,
I was scared this when I was a kid.
I was more disappointed because the marketing for it was all like, "Oh, this is real found footage of people in that area," and it's just fucking Mia Jovovich. So I was a little disappointed because they just straight up lied. I thought I was actually seeing some freaky footage. No, it's all fake shit.
I mean, I haven't seen it since I was like a teenager, probably, but like,
I tried watching it for the first. I watched it for the first time maybe like 3 years ago. It's quite boring. I'm not gonna lie to you.
when I saw it, I remember it being scary as shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, the end. That's fine.
It's been a long time.
I was pretty young.
It's something with owls, man. They're freaky.
But oh yeah, it was owls. I think it was supposed to be grays. I think it was supposed to be like
Yeah.
either way. But yeah, I mean, again, we kind of talked about this earlier too, but I guess there's like a big Travel Channel episode about this triangle where you can see some shit about it. But other than that, that's the kind of the basics of it, very in a nutshell kind of way. But really, really, really interesting, actually.
Yeah, and again, all this is happening around Fort Greely, except the triangle. It's kind of everywhere.
Yeah, the triangle encompasses that, but yeah.
I wonder how much of this, all these like sightings and everything and missing peoples and all that, wonder how much of this is because there's such a rampant alcohol problem in Alaska.
Yeah.
They got nothing to do. They're just fucking
I just looked up
wasted.
the statistics, and 38% of Alaskan men are binge drinkers and 13% of the women are. So
Hell yeah.
40% of the dudes out in Alaska are just
I mean,
drunk as piss all the time.
binge drinking has a pretty low standard. I think drinking like 4 drinks in like a 2-hour period or something like that is technically binge drinking.
Oh.
100% of the people on this show are binge drinkers. So I don't think.
I guess I've been binge drinking right now.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, I do wonder what all this is about, and I hope we find some sort of, I don't know, answer someday. That'd be cool, but today is not that day.
No, it is not.
You boys got anything else you want to talk about when it comes to aliens and Fort Greely?
5 or more drinks for men in a single sitting is considered binge drinking.
So
I'll hit it.
40% of Alaskans have 5 or more drinks a day.
Well, no,
I'll take that.
not
I'll
a day.
take that.
And if you sit down and start drinking and you don't stop drinking until you've drank at least 5 drinks, that is considered binge drinking.
Hmm.
It doesn't
Doug,
have
what
to
you
be
got
on
there?
it.
Drink 5.
But anyway,
Oh yeah, look at you. That's my boy.
I think it's all the nuke waste that they pumped into the fucking ground in the 70s and 60s. That's what I think.
It's a little bit more extreme than lead poisoning.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Not extreme enough.
I think the lightning theory for the caribou makes sense, honestly.
yeah, that happens quite often, actually.
Like if they were standing in
actually
like
was gonna say-
water, like real shallow water or something, I could 100% see it.
According
I
to
read
this, no, but
I read an article that was kind of similar to that, where like a group of cows got struck by lightning and like 25 cows died instantly.
I mean, lightning will fuck you up.
yeah,
And out
It
there
sure
in
will.
Alaska, it's got nothing else to hit. So like, if
there's
like
a guy.
if there was like a tree stump in the middle of like a marshy area where there was like shallow water and they were standing in that and it like hits that tree stump, I could 100% see it like blowing up that tree stump, make it a crater and like killing everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
I can buy the lightning strike theory.
The lightning, since moving to Florida, in the Midwest we get a ton of lightning and whatnot. But since moving to Florida, fucking the lightning is like on a whole different level than I've ever seen before. And it's like lower to the ground. Like the clouds are all like way lower to the ground. So when lightning strikes, it's like loud and like right in your face, and it just like rumbles the whole earth. Like I've never felt like lightning rumble my whole house like it does here. And like we get like thunderstorms and stuff like all the time, and they're not like severe like you get in the Midwest where you're like, ah, fuck, is it gonna hail or is there a tornado? Like it's just like long periods of rain and thunderstorms, and it's actually really nice because I enjoy that. But I've never seen or heard lightning like I have here. And we were actually at the parks one day, and it started to thunderstorm while we were at the park. So we're like, oh shit, like let's get out of the park and go like drink at some of the hotels or whatever. And we're like trying to like walk back to the car, And I seriously have never seen lightning this close without, being hit by it before. I've never been hit by it, so that doesn't really make sense. But I've never seen lightning that close to me before, is what I'm trying to say. And Liz is like walking in front of me, and I just see her this big crack of thunder comes down, and I just see her turn around and just start fucking running. And I've never seen someone move that fast, but it was so crazy. Like, I can't even imagine what being hit by lightning feels like, and it's like kind of scary as fuck. Not gonna
There's
lie.
a dude, like a truck driver, that got hit by lightning because he was like driving down the road and he was hanging his arm out the window and the lightning hit his arm, and now he's got like he's fine, but he has like these scars where the lightning went through his veins, and it looks super cool.
Yeah,
Oh
there's
yeah,
a
I think I've
guy.
seen something like that before.
There's a guy. You might have seen him. There's a guy in Yorkville that got hit by lightning, and he used to come into the AT&T that I worked at, and I made a. It was one of those things where like you can't help but stare because you see the scars. And he had them like up his whole body, and it looked really cool. And I was like, hey man, or you bend in lightning, or like the Avatar over there, and he's like, what? I was like, I'm sorry, it's a show, it's a cartoon. This man was like 70 years old, and I'm like,
What?
hey, you bend in lightning like Aang, like. And
Apparently,
Lori
there's
was
a guy that got struck by lightning 7 times and didn't die.
hell yeah, what a man.
That's a really long amount of time. That's a really tall amount of time to live and not die from getting struck by lightning.
Guess what his name was?
Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. Yeah,
I knew
sure,
it.
chow, man.
Nah, it was Roy. It was just Roy Sullivan.
Oh, that's not fun at all. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on this.
I mentioned that I read this New York Times article from 1972 about the caribou, and towards the bottom of the article, there's a snippet that I thought was funny, that just talking about the government. It says, when they were trying to turn the land over, or before that, I guess, they said the Alaskan Army Command insists that there is no toxic chemical weapons that have been at Fort Greely since October of 1969. But this did not convince segments of the Alaskan public who recalled the Army's 3-year delay in confirming the temporary loss of about 50 nerve gas canisters sunk in 1967 at Blueberry Lake, about 35 miles from the carcasses. So the Army straight up just fucking lost 50 caskets of nerve gas in this lake.
Sounds about right.
They were like, whoopsie.
So, like, why are the fish acting weird?
Fuck's wrong with the fish in Alaska? Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on this weird Alaskan themed ride. Go find us. You can find us everywhere. We're Don't Look Under the Internet or DelutiPod everywhere. Send us an email, delutipod@gmail.com. Do that.
Send us an email. Just talk to us.
Just talk to us. We're lonely, please.
Tell Mike about your day.
Yeah. And if you ever come across an Alaskan dad, he's probably irradiated from Fort Greely, so don't touch him. Matt, what you got?
I'll ask you this. What you doing later?
Are you asking me?
I'll ask anybody.
What am I doing later? Not a whole lot. What are you doing later?
I'll ask you this. I don't know. Trying to do an Alaska joke.
Oh, I get it.
But you're not.
I'll ask you this. Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just stupid.
No, it's all good.
Fort Greely, I hardly knew her.
Yeah.
Doug, what do you got?
I don't know, man. If
Doug, I'll ask you this. What do you got?
That's a great joke, Mike.
Thanks, dude.
yeah, where'd you hear it?
Some fucking idiot.
Some dipshit. I don't know, man. I'll ask you this though. I don't know. Is that just like beans, Alaskan aliens, black pyramid?
I thought you had a
Triangle.
rhyme, but you obviously didn't.
If you don't know, now you do.
Beans, Alaskan greens.
The magical fruit.
Yep.
The more you eat, the more you toot.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
I'll ask you
See
this.
ya. Get lost. Skedad. I'll ask you this. Why are you still here?
why are you still here? Please leave.
Don't look under the internet.